is share with you how to set up and create a vertical menu. Okay, so it's going to be an up and down vertical menu. In another tutorial, I'll show you how to set up a horizontal menu, but in this case, let's look at a vertical menu and how things are set up. All right, so in this example, what I have is the style sheet actually in the center right here. The left is the HTML, and on the right will be my website. So typically the way vertical menus or most menus are set up in HTML and CSS is within the HTML, they use the UL or the unordered list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it out with creating an unordered list. So I'll go ahead and create a few of these elements. So I'll go ahead and type in the links, and I'm just going to do, let's just say, my website right here. And we'll type in homepage, okay? And now what I'll do is I'll duplicate this over a handful of times, okay? So we basically will have a few buttons on this vertical menu. And this is good for drop downs. This is good for any kind of vertical menu on the left or right side. So if you want to set that up, you could do like that. So home, about me, this could be like contact page. This could be like a training, courses, it might be books, you know, let's just leave it at that. So that's more than enough elements right there. So what you need to do is style these elements, okay? So first you can see there's bullets that are automatically in place. So the way that this works is first you'll go ahead and style these, okay? So all of this work really happens within the style sheet. So we'll go ahead and we'll first style this big unordered list. So the first thing we need to do is a list style type. We'll go ahead and type in none. And as I do this, you'll slowly start seeing things refresh here. I'll also go ahead and set margin to 0. Okay, I'll also go ahead and set padding to 0. You'll see here as these things evolve and what they're doing. Okay, so you can see it's just getting rid of those things from the initial or the inheritance from the unordered list. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I want to also target, let's just say, the elements on their own for the list. Okay, so the way that I'll go about doing this is I'll set up a rule for the ULLI, and you can see I'm doing it in a child selector. And then probably I'll also want to do LI with the anchor link with a pseudo class right there. So that way I'm styling the link. Now I'll first tackle, let's just say, the ULLI element. Okay, so that way it's that LI element. And the way that I'm going to do that is, let's just to be able to make things simple or see things, I'm going to do a background here of green. Okay, so we'll take this color just to give you and show you what that looks like. So now you can see that pretty much every LI element or the list element has this background. The next thing that I could do is go ahead and include something like this, like another pseudo element. I'll go ULLI on hover, okay, and we could say, okay, well, on this one, I want the background to be a little bit different. So I'll go ahead and just make it, how about this bluer color, okay, so something like this, okay. So that's what we'll go ahead and do. I'll go ahead and just paste that in there. And that way, as you can see, as I do the rollover, okay, I don't have to roll over the link right there, okay. Normally, if you roll over the link, then you're able to click it. But in this case, what I'm doing is I'm kind of converting these things to block elements. Now, the other approach, which is also handy, is I could actually do this part within the anchor link. So there's really two ways to go about doing it. But you can see here on the right, as I do this, the cursor is not changed. So I'd have to use the cursor element and do, I believe it's pointer right there. So that way when I roll over, you can see that also changes. So if you don't want to do it this way, what you could do is just focus and put all of this actually within this anchor link level, okay? So I'll go ahead and do this right here. I'll get rid of this hover right there, because what we can do later is convert this to a block level element. Because see, here's the problem, is that now you can see it just spans that because it's an inline element. So what I need to do is display, and then it's a block level element. And now I have a block and I get my cursor back automatically. So that's typically the normal approach, but I just wanted to show you how you can also just style the li element as well if you just need to style the li element. And here's one of the ways you may want to go about doing that. So let me start styling this up and you'll see. So I'll go ahead and do border bottom 1 pixel dashed, and let me pull up a color here. Again, we'll do something like this. We'll pull this up just to show you where or how I would use that. So you can see there's a little bit of, right there, a little bit of a border bottom right there. I could also include a little bit of a padding. So I could say, okay, well, 15 pixels. Okay, so now I have that padding right there, but you can see the background is only affected right now. I have to click that link. Okay, so notice the problem that's creating that. If I only have the link right there, that doesn't work out very well. But you can see how that can work out nicely if I move this background, go over here, put the background right there, and you can see there it is. And you can't really see this dashed element as well. Let me brighten it up a little bit. So we'll brighten that. And now you can see right there how I'm styling it in a really nice way. Oftentimes you may want to go ahead and just move this padding, let's just say move the padding back into the link element right there. Okay, and you can see the change in effect is very minimal, but you get the idea of how I'm playing around with this. So I might want to go ahead and get rid of the text decoration for the time being. So now the text decoration is none. I'll go ahead and add a color of, let's say, white. We'll go ahead and add a text transform, make it uppercase. Okay, and one of the reasons you see why the text isn't white is also because I visited those links. So what I could do is add a comma right there and just do visited. Let's see if I spelled that right. Visited right there. Okay, so there you go. So now you can see those are white. Okay, so I've added a comma and added it also as a secondary element. And then the other thing is I could do font, and the font that I will use is, let's just say Gotham, just for example purposes. Actually, font family is what I want. There we go. Family, we'll use Gotham. So there you go. You're starting to see this menu come alive. It's really fascinating, right? And now what I can do is add an additional pseudo element. So instead of a link, I can go ahead and add a hover to this. So I'll go ahead, and I don't need to put all of these back because, again, the element is taking the initial properties. It's talking about the states, right? So the state of that element. So if I just want to do, let's just say, a rollover effect on this, what I can do is do a rollover on the background. And I could do the background rollover on the li element, which is where the background is. So if I want that background to be a rollover with the link, I could just move this over actually into the link area. So I'll go ahead and do that, move that background over there, and now you can kind of see that happening. Okay, maybe at this point the border's a little bit too light right there, and I might want to darken it up a little bit. Just simply by moving some of these things around, it may affect slightly certain colors and so forth. So you have to play around with your menu as you continue to evolve and expand it and build it out. So again, taking a look at things right there, you can see it's starting to look pretty good. Let me just see here again. Change this color right there. Let's just see how that looks. Okay, border and everything looks okay. Border bottom looks okay. If I wanted it a little thicker, I could do, let's say, 2 pixels right there, and you can see there's the 2 pixels. But ultimately, it's not something that I want. Anyways, we'll stick to 1 pixel for the time being. Anyways, in this case and scenario, the next step that I would want to do is, let's just say, the rollover effect. So here, what I could do is change the background again, since we have this background color already in this greener color, and I may want it slightly darker. Okay, I'll actually change it to, let's just say, something a little bit different. Let's just go with like a blue, dark blue tone so you can see the difference. And we'll go ahead and pop that in there. So now as I roll over, you can see it's working out really well. Well, what if I wanted the text to be center? Well, what I could do is text align, put that center, and there we go. And now that text is center, and you can see how that menu is really starting to become created. You could also do width, and the width right here, I could go ahead and say, okay, well, make it 125 pixel wide, okay? Now the issue here is, remember, we're targeting this LI element, or the anchor link right there. So if I do 125 on that element, you can see the dotted line right there still continues moving over there. So ultimately what I need to do is put that either in the UL right here and make it right there and put that there, or let's just make it a little bigger, 225. Or I probably could even put it in the LI elements, but that means the LIs are specified the width. So either way, right now you can see there's no difference. I could go ahead and just put it in the UL area of the tag, and that ultimately makes it look really nicely with this menu. And you can see how that's moving around really well. And that's how you create kind of a basic vertical menu. Now, one more thing I want to share with you when it comes to CSS3 or HTML5 and some of the new things that are coming out. Normally what you could see is this rollover is just very fast. It's automatic as I roll over. But if you're looking to do a little bit of a transition effect, there's kind of an interesting element that you could put in, or a property, and that is transition background color, and let's just say 0.5 seconds ease. Okay, so that's what I want to do, and put that in there right there. And to show you how this really works, or what the difference is if I hit save and I do this rollover effect, look at how it fades into it. If I do, let's say 0.9, okay, you can see how that fade in, or that transition, really takes its time as I do the rollover. Now you'll see it refreshing, the browser refreshing, because I have the automatic refresh on. But you can see how that easing really works out well. If I do 0.1, obviously it's quicker, it's almost instant, but it's subtle. If I do, let's say 0.3, again, you can see with 0.3, it gives it a little bit of something, and with let's just do 0.8, again, gives you that little bit of extra. If I do, let me just see if I do 1.8, how slow that'll go. And you can see it's very, very slow. It's almost to the point of where my automatic refresh is. So anyways, that's a cool little additional transition property, which we may cover a little bit later. But in either case, that's how you build out a menu, at least on a vertical front, and how you customize it and start looking at things. Ultimately, most menus start with the UL, or unordered list tag, and then you go ahead and start structuring this to the point where, you know, you're styling these UL elements. Most all of them will have that list style type as none. You have a 0 margin and padding. That's just pretty standard. And then after that, it really just comes down to the menu that you're attempting to build. Thanks for watching. Now, the next thing that you should do, if you haven't done so already, is get on my newsletter list by clicking this button right here. If you click this button and you get on my newsletter list, that's where I send announcements about my live webinar classes.